Well, certainly one of the star attractions throughout this Miracle Mile Carnival has been Bondi Lockdown. I caught up with his trainer, driver Aaron Dunn, prior to the running of the Miracle Mile. Well, Aaron, great to catch up with you prior to the running of the Miracle Mile. Bondi Lockdown, what a sensation he's been.
Nah, he's certainly a good horse, and I don't think I'll ever get one like him again.
What do you think of his Chariots of Fire performance when you saw the time when you pulled up alongside Better Eclipse?
No, sensational. A little bit disappointing when he's a Sun Beach colt that he could be a stallion, and he could have had that against his name. And his grandmother actually was the last mare to win the Chariots, Innocent Eyes. So yeah, it would have been a good for breeding purposes, that's for sure.
Bondi Lockdown, certainly an interesting name, and it's because of COVID.
Yeah, just a few months after they locked down Bondi Beach, I just went to name him and thought, oh, there's a good name, looking for a beach name. So yeah, everyone loves it, so that's at least I got a good name with a good horse.
It certainly is a good name, and he's certainly better than just a good horse. Aaron, you've mentioned on a number of occasions he's a work in progress, he's got some quirks. What are those quirks?
Oh, look, he probably used to get on the knee a bit. He did everything perfect as a young horse, and then went to the trials at Ballarat, and he just sat behind him and then pulled out and just went past him. And then I took him to stall, and he didn't handle the corner there, and then took him to Trang, and he did the same thing, so tipped him out. And then he started doing wrong things at home. When I got him back, thought he needed to mature, but yeah, he sort of half go a bit rough around the turn, and then now he seems to sort of sometimes wait for him a bit around the turn and then get going again. But he hasn't quite done that the last few, so he's getting better.
And Aaron, did he always show this outstanding potential?
Oh, look, both me and Dad said, look, he was the next best thing to DD's Dream we had, 20 years ago. That he just jog work. You'd look down at the clock each lap and he'd be going way faster than you thought you were, and he's just got that high speed.
DD's Dream, certainly an outstanding performer for you, and gave you your first Group 1, Bondi your second. How do you compare them?
DD's Dream was probably had a better turn his foot from 3/4 speed. This bloke takes a bit more winding up, but then's probably tougher and can hold it longer. I think, DD's Dream probably just was that echelon below the top ones, but still, won 36 races and was a good horse. And this bloke's probably going to go to Grand Circuit level now, or he's there now. So, that's the exciting part about him.
Aaron, you've mentioned his toughness on a couple of occasions. Is that his main weapon?
Well, I think he's got that high cruise speed. He can, reel off 27 quarters one after the other and still run 26 at home before I left. And, in time, if I was sitting out the back and they went hard, or he'd run a humongous, short, good speed time, I reckon. But you got to get the race to run to suit that way, and it doesn't always work out that way.
The Miracle Mile, as you mentioned, will be his first venture to the Grand Circuit. As he builds into the Grand Circuit racing and he keeps maturing, is he the type that can sit off the speed and still be effective?
Oh, I think so. Probably when he, we need the races run to suit. And these days, if you sort of get that, second quarter that's a bit slower and you're out the back, you just can't get into the race. And tonight, just sort of probably the trouble is there's probably a lot of sit sprinters in the race, and probably I've got to probably just go forward and have a look and see him there and maybe get a bit of a breather and hopefully be in the top 3 at the finish.
No doubt you're excited about what lays ahead as far as this particular fella is concerned?
Yeah, had a fair few interests to go to New Zealand for the slot race, but sort of half planned to give him a bit of a break after this and then go to Queensland. So, yeah, he sort of hasn't had more than probably 2-week holiday for, in the last 8 months or more. I'd have to have a better look in the diary about that, but just thinking after this trip I'll give him a good spell and then aim at those races.
Your influence in harness racing stems from your father, Barry?
Yeah, my grandfather had horses years ago. He had 2 good horses that one at the showgrounds, like bred the best, and then he started breeding horses that probably weren't as good. I think they were Daring Deeds, the ones which was a leading sire, his first 2. And then Dad sort of branched on from that. So yeah, probably learned a lot of me craft off Dad, and yeah, that's stemmed from there, and just other different trainers. Went to Peter Manning's, had a horse, Speedo George, that we couldn't quite get right, and sent him up there, and then I sort of looked after the place there, so still do a lot of me training around his sort of style. So,
Aaron, in your early 20s you won the Vidnight Junior Drivers Medal, certainly a great award to have sitting on the mantelpiece, but it wasn't until you turned around about 46 you decided, I've got to get serious.
Yeah, just thought I'll have a bit more of a crack and breed a few, and went back to the yearling sales after 13 years and bought Shady As. It's in the second year tonight, and then the next year I bought a filly in Bondi, so probably lucky bought him for 20. I'd already bought the filly, and if there was another bid, I didn't know if I was going to go over 20. So, and just got sort of 8 brood mares now, and done a lot of fencing. I had a lot of get hung up in the fence and injured, and I'm now got my track sort of got a bit hard. So instead of just I've got to move about 12,000 metres of dirt and rebuild that, and I've got Wayne Edgelow, he's designing it, so I've got nice bends and that. So and a grader blade coming and a conditioner, and it never ends. And drove up in here in a new F350, so that just arrived in time to come up for this trip. So sort of dedicating myself to it, and it's worked out good.
Aaron, you've got sort of like a boutique stable. You've had about a dozen runners, but most of them are group performers.
Yeah, well, I worked out if I'd gone around Saturday night, it would have been 13 Group 1s out of 16, my last drives for myself since New Year's, and sort of got to pinch myself really. That's sort of great, and even a little Hot Deal running third in the Derby, and my Corona's actually Hot Deal's out of a full sister to my Corona, who's just passed this year, so I've only got 2 foals out of him. So so my breeding sort of looks like it's coming through a bit too, which is good, and at the top end of the game, which is exciting.
Is that a nice working figure around about the dozen?
I think so. I probably just mostly got all my own. I probably don't get a lot of approaches to work for anyone else, and I probably like that, whether they know that I just got my own, and that's the easy way to do it. I don't have to answer to anyone, and I think that's the best approach really. You've
also been running a very successful business.
I got a mobile seed cleaning business, which named Dunn IV Seed Cleaning, which it's not the easiest of jobs and not most glamorous, but that's sort of why it probably paid well, and got built machines, big semi machines, and sort of got them going around, 3 of them around Australia, and sort of got other blokes now that I've given a bit more slice of the pie, and I don't actually have to do any work, and I don't think I could do it again now.
Up until recently, you've been certainly engaged with a gentleman by the name of Steve Black, who's done a wonderful effort looking after the stable. What say you can get away?
He's been good. He was looking at buying. I'd never bought a going horse before, and we bought Kiang Bazooka. He was umming and ahhing, so we bought him and paid for him in 10 days, and then Stevie had a payout, and he decided to buy a few from New Zealand, with Silent Major being the first one, and I think the first 5 all won their first start for us, and never had a New Zealander before either, so sort of made one day maybe branch into that, but haven't bought any of them myself, but I always had too many, and Steve was buying too many, so I had a good association there, and he's sort of gone back to be close to his kids, because he's it's a bit hard there down near Warrnambool, and I had a good run, and it's a bit Silent Major's gone a bit of a miss, which is a bit disappointing. He's a lovely horse, and Flash Jimmy's another nice one he's got he'll go places as well.
Outside of your father, Barry, who you said's been a huge influence on you, who else have you had in your career that's been such a big influence?
Look, probably always idolised Gavin Lang, a lot, and probably probably being shy, and probably lacked a bit of confidence in the early days even. Never spoke to him as much as I could have, and when we've on DD's Dream won in Tassie, won the Launceston Cups, we got stuck at the airport and had a good yak to him, and then sort of become good friends and rib each other a bit more often after that, and he was just amazing. I reckon growing up as a kid, watching how you think, God, you got to hit him, Gav, and he wouldn't. He'd just sit there and still get up by a nostril.
And I don't think it matters who you speak to in the harness racing industry. If you ask them for an idol or someone who's been a big influence on their career, Gavin Lang's name always seems to pop up.
Yeah, that's right. There's those, B Gaff, and you got Chris Alford, who's they've all been great drivers, and you probably still they're all different. And even though Gavin Lang's probably the way he is, I probably don't drive my horses quite like that as much now, but probably got tougher horses and train them to be tough, and sort of these days I think you've got to nearly put them in the race, and you mightn't win the race, but you run in the top few is still a good result.
It's been great to catch up with you prior to the running of the Miracle Mile. Good luck tonight, but we certainly look forward to the Aaron Dunn stable showing their presence on a far bigger scale in the future.
Let's hope so.